This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for this special Good Friday edition of CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. I want to begin this half hour with this. The resurrection of Jesus is the most celebrated miracle in Christianity. And in the very place many believe that wondrous event occurred, some say miracle signs and wonders are still occurring. Paul Strand takes us to Jerusalem's Garden Tomb.
The great miracle of Jesus Christ's resurrection took place right here in the Garden Tomb, or one much like it. But the miracles didn't stop then. They still go on today, and even right here. Cesar Fleitas works here and recalls a time when a man from Romania came here who had incredibly poor eyesight. Then this man walked into the tomb.
He wanted to look at the symbol that is inside the tomb, the symbol of a cross that has the Greek letters, and he wasn't able to make out the symbol very well, so he removed his glasses, and then all of a sudden he was able to see perfectly. I hear the men screaming inside the tomb saying, I can see, I can see. Of course, he was speaking in Romanian. His pastor, who was standing nearby, he translated for me. He said, he can see.
Another miracle that took place involved a boy who suffered from hydrocephalus, an abnormal and dangerous buildup of fluid deep in the brain. Now, every year his family came from Ecuador to the Garden Tomb. This young man, Giancarlo Rodriguez, was that little boy, and back then he was paralyzed from the waist down due to the hydrocephalus.
20 plus years ago, they came as a family. They brought the son inside the tomb, and as they were praying, all of a sudden they hear their son crying. The husband turned around to look back to see what was going on, and then all of a sudden they see their son standing there. And that was the miracle. The healing took place at that moment.
Before that healing, Giancarlo's sister had lost her faith.
She couldn't understand why God would allow such a thing to happen to her brother. But then after she saw the healing that God performed in her brother's body, that became the turning point in her life.
I simply want to say that Giancarlo is proof that God is real.
As for Giancarlo's whole family now,
they're all involved in ministry, serving the Lord.
Liz Tingman chronicles signs and wonders that happen at the Garden Tomb. She told CBN News about Pastor Hobson Laura. He'd suffered an extremely painful, unending headache since he was 13. Then in 2010, this 48-year-old visited the tomb.
He suddenly was overwhelmed with this uncontrollable urge to weep as he went into the tomb. And then he came out and he went on to the area over here near the olive trees, and he said he just held on to an olive tree because he was weeping uncontrollably. And he said he was praying for 40 minutes. And when the weeping stopped, he realized that he was healed. He had no headache. And he'd had this headache since the age of 13.
Fleitas experienced his own miracle when a visiting Brazilian pastor came out of the tomb, insisting God just told him to pray for Fleitas' healing. Little did he know, Fleitas had been suffering from sharp liver pains for years.
And he looked at me and he said to me, I want you to understand that the power comes from the Lord. It is the Lord God Almighty that heals you. And then he anointed me with oil and he prayed over me. And that sharp pain that I was experiencing was gone, completely gone.
And forever?
Yes, it's gone.
Tingman also recalled a Japanese non-believer who a guide took around, starting at the overlook of Skull Hill, where many believe Christ was crucified.
And she took her to Skull Hill and explained about Calvary and so on. And this woman said, she spoke English, she said, I know nothing about Jesus Christ. Tell me more. She went into the tomb, and my colleague said when she was in the tomb, she was visibly moved. Something was moving her, and she was weeping, actually. And she said, I can see him. And my friend said, what can you see? She said, I see a man with a crown on his head. Now, this is a woman who didn't know anything about the gospel stories. And she said, it's not a gold crown. And she began to describe a crown of thorns on this man's head that she was seeing.
If you don't know this Jesus Christ, well, we Christians believe that he can save you, heal you, perform a miracle for you right now on the spot. All you have to do is pray and ask him. That's the good news of Easter. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the Garden Tomb, Jerusalem.
Coming up, I'll take you to the massive sound stages of The Chosen Last Supper. The setting is Holy Week. Some call it the most beautiful, most complex, most intense season of the entire series. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. The Chosen Last Supper is in theaters. This 5th season focuses on the final week of Jesus' life on earth. I traveled to Texas to bring you a behind-the-scenes look at the production and its impact on the cast.
Listen carefully, because I'm going to tell you what is about to happen.
And with that, the table is set for The Chosen Last Supper. So I know that when we're looking at season 5, we'll be looking at Holy Week.
Yeah.
How would you describe the arc, what plays out in this season for Jesus?
Steamroller, bulldozer, intensity, just a melee of emotions and conflicts, climaxes of conflicts between Jesus and the authorities, climactic frustrations between Jesus and his disciples, their inability to get what he's telling them within days of it happening.
Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem.
You can run on for a long time.
My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you make it a den of thieves.
By what authority are you doing these things?
My own. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees! Stop this at once!
It'll be the most beautiful, most complex, most intense season we've ever done.
That beauty, complexity, and intensity includes Jesus' betrayal. Luke Dimyon plays Judas.
You have a choice to make, Judas. I'm listening. Who you belong to.
Luke, how familiar were you with Judas's role in the story before coming to The Chosen?
I was very familiar. I grew up very familiar and having read the Bible. And even at a very young age, I was curious and always questioning why the hate on this guy who obviously felt so bad for what he did, the thing that we hate him for, that he sadly committed suicide. And that never just sat right with me, the kind of blind distaste we had for him, because whenever I read that story, I just saw a missed opportunity in an entire dogma that's supposed to be about forgiveness and rebirth from the misdeeds that you've done. To look at someone who had the opportunity to have the biggest redemption arc and to lose that's a tragedy to me. That's not someone to hate, that's someone to mourn.
I do believe that Jesus is most likely the Messiah.
Why?
Why what?
Why do you believe that?
I've seen too much.
Then why are you doing this?
I suppose I have not seen enough.
We traveled to Dallas to see the cast hard at work on the production's massive sound stages and intricate sets. I feel like every season this production grows.
Yeah.
How would you compare?
Yeah.
What's strikingly different about the work this season? I know we're getting close to the end of production. What's strikingly different this time around?
I think, you know what's funny about it? That everything on the surface is gigantic and bigger and more, everything on the surface, the sets are bigger. There's more people. We were in Utah 3 weeks with 600 people every day. Everything grows.
Yeah.
However, I think the beauty is that the actual work has not changed at all. It's still a mom and papa shop doing its own thing, like 3 writers, 3 writers, a very close-knit group of performers and creators and crew. So that's the beauty. It's like everything around it grew, but it's still the same very family feel. Everybody's still best friends. We didn't let it go to our heads, the fact that the show is going places, you know? And that's the beauty, that it's the same kind of heart. The spirit and the heart is the same. But yes, of course, the sets are huge and there's a lot of people and you know, the show has grown. But I don't know, I love that we are still in the same.
We started, you know, there's a lot of the studio is fund something from the top and then hopefully you get like a top-down result. And we've just been the opposite. We've been bottom up. We grew from the grass that couldn't grow to where we are now. And it's that, as he says, that grassroots mom and pop feel.
What began as a small crowd-funded series is now a worldwide hit, watched on big screens, streamed on small screens, with 2 seasons yet to produce.
We are in season 5. You now have less road ahead of you and more behind you. Yeah. How does it feel?
I mean, I've been sad, to be honest, just because we're just so close and connected, and you know, we're a big family here. So I'm not gonna lie, I've been a bit emotional this season.
It's really mixed feelings. I don't think I really expected it to happen so quickly. I thought maybe over the course of many years we'll get to season 7, but I've been so surprised by how quickly it's grown, and that's allowed us to make the seasons faster. So it's just, at first it was this sort of slow, gradual growth, and now it feels like it's sped up, and it feels like it's going away.
So we're like chasing it.
Yeah.
Wait, no, we want you back. Yeah.
You guys are both naturally so intimately involved in this story. How has it changed you personally over the course of these last few years?
You know, I've learned, it's actually made me more confident. I've learned a lot about myself, and I give that full credit to the writers, the showrunners, just giving Matthew this kind of personality and body and depth.
I mean, when I first booked the role, I was very similar to the Lilith version of Mary. I really connected to that. I was going through a depression. I was struggling with a lot of pain and anxieties, and so over the course of these years, I feel like I've been allowed to change and grow alongside Mary. She's sort of been like this guide of showing me the path to a really fulfilling and joyful life.
Finding personal joy in Jesus' story is a running theme on and off screen.
I ask that you keep your distance from me in Jerusalem these next few days.
Why?
For those of us who watch intimately, we all describe this project as life-changing for us. You being so heavily involved in leading it, has this changed your life?
100%. I mean, it's changed my relationship with God in that it has deepened it and profoundly and made me want to be more like Jesus in my day-to-day life, not just to play him. And one of the things that keep hitting me is like, you don't have to play Jesus on TV to be Jesus to the world. And I think that's what we're all called to do as believers.
The hour is coming.
Part 3 of The Chosen Last Supper is in theaters right now. Still ahead, the epic cinematic series House of David. It is the shepherd boy's rise from fields to celebrated king. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. Welcome back to CBN NewsWatch. King David's story is one of the most epic biblical stories, and it's made for a hit cinematic series called House of David. The production has been greenlit for a 2nd season. I traveled to Greece to watch exactly how this story all comes together.
Can one stone change the course of history?
This simple question sets the stage for the cinematic biblical series House of David, a full-scale retelling of David's rise from an overlooked shepherd boy to Israel's most celebrated king.
Why do my brothers get to fight? And I'm stuck here.
David, you are not a man of blood.
Michael Iskander leads the cast as David.
God does not see what man sees. He sees into the heart. And you have the heart of a lion.
They're casting for this series. They have all these actors in place, but they still haven't identified their David. And they go through thousands of audition tapes and wait months and months and months. And finally, we come to you.
Why? I don't know.
How does that feel?
Scary. I mean, like, obviously, like, with an opportunity like this and to tell this type of story, it's so special and everyone wants it. But it's scary because there's so much pressure, you know, being the one person to do this. Like, I like to think that there's plenty of people who could have done it. I'm just the lucky one.
At the time, you're on Broadway in a successful play, and you kind of have a desire to be David. Tell me, where'd that desire come from?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. I think it goes back to the show The Chosen. Like, I watch The Chosen, and every single time I watch an episode, I cry. I see the Bible come to life. And not only that, but I see human beings in front of me. I don't see some big, grand person far away. And I've always been inspired by that, and I've wanted to be a part of it. And so I thought to myself, man, if they ever have an audition, you know, I'd love to maybe play King David in a flashback scene. Maybe. Like young King David, herding the sheep or whatever. And that was a long time ago. That was 2021. And so to get the opportunity now to do that, but on a full scale, and to dive deeply into the story of David, is such a full circle moment from that initial spark.
The Philistines have assembled.
The sparks behind this epic series, John Irwin, whose film credits include Jesus Revolution and I Can Only Imagine.
It's a story of family, I think. It's a story of destiny.
And John Gunn, whose work includes The Case for Christ and I Still Believe.
I saw the print of a hand, larger than a weaver's basket.
They have a giant. What?
How do you balance telling the story that most of us think we know with biblical accuracy, but then telling a compelling story?
We feel like a great responsibility for the source material, and you want to get it right, and you want to honor it. And the way to honor it is to understand the heart of it, and then to fill in those gaps in ways that supports the truth of the heart of that. And then you get a lot of help from people to go like, no, this is great, but this is actually inaccurate.
The Bible is kind of like, you know, flying through a theme park in a jet, you know? it's a historical overview at a high altitude. So it's wonderful to, I like Ken Burns uses this phrase, emotional archaeology, which I really like. And to, first of all, love the material, learn the material, and then really think about, okay, these are real people. And if they're in chapter 3, they don't know about chapter 4. And then you read all that David was going through in the Psalms, and then you cross-reference them to the life that he was living, you know, as you read 1st and 2nd Samuel. And it really comes to life.
My king, I will fight the giant. Fight him with the same spirit you bring into this room. Send me your champion!
Goliath! Bringing the role of Goliath to life is bodybuilder, actor, and Mortal Kombat star Martin Ford.
How does Mortal Kombat prepare you to play Goliath?
Patience. I mean, it's quite funny you should say that, because the characters are kind of very similar with Shao Kahn and Goliath, in a sense of they are the ultimate bad guy, larger than life, and a power that's unrecognizable by humans.
When I think of Goliath in biblical terms, I don't even think of Goliath as a human, per se, because we're thinking giant, massive. So what's the difference in what people are thinking versus what we're going to see?
Well, I think the power of allowing us to tell the story with a backstory allows you to see him more as what you've just suggested that you don't, as human. And if we can have that relatability to the fact that he is half human, he does have a family, he has brothers and a mother, and there's a driving force, there's a motivation for his actions.
It's not about the greatness of the giant. It is about the greatness of God.
Are you afraid?
Terrified. What has David taught you playing him? What lesson have you?
Oh man, what hasn't he taught me? I think most of all, David has taught me courage and bravery. Because the one thing that David always does is he doesn't run from his fears, he goes right to them. And I think that's a lesson we all need, is to not run away from our fears, but to face our fears, to stand up against the giant and to say, I am here. Even though we might be scared, like, might be terrified, we still choose to stand against giants.
Again, I ask this question. Can one stone change the course of history?
The first installment of House of David is an official hit on the Prime streaming platform, and it's been greenlit for a second season. Stay with us. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. A new animated film, King of Kings, tells the story of the life of Jesus. It's based on a Charles Dickens book where he tells the story of Jesus to his son, and they travel through the pages of the Bible to see those stories come alive firsthand. This is an Angel Studios production, and it features well-known actors including Pierce Brosnan, Oscar Isaac, Forrest Whitaker, Mark Hamill, and Kenneth Branagh, and many more. King of Kings, it's in theaters right now. Well, that is going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time as well as online. The address is cbnnews.com. Take a moment and let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Have a good Friday and a happy Resurrection Sunday.